You scroll through hundreds of job descriptions, but they all sound the same. You spend so much time on every application, but it doesn't seem to matter. You send off application after application, but never hear back. You thought the interview went so well, but it's a no. You jump through all the hoops. The news keeps saying how there are all these employers that are struggling to find people to hire. So why does finding a great job have to be so hard? It doesn't seem very logical or fair. It's not. The system is broken. It's not your fault. The process most people go through to get a job is awful. But here's the good news. The system isn't very smart. In fact, it's downright dumb. It can be beaten. How? Most prospective employers and employees today are using the same old tired strategies that have been around forever. It's like professional camouflage. Everybody just blends into the crowd. But you don't have to be that way anymore. You can get traction. You can stand out from the crowd to unleash your God-given potential, to help a world in need, to do work that matters, to earn what you and your family deserve. You can do this. You're meant to do this. There are bright things on the horizon for you. This is the way. Welcome to the workshop. Get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. My name is Eric Woodard. I'm a high-performance career and leadership coach based out of Washington, D.C. And if you're here live on this Thursday, I just want to acknowledge you for just giving so much of your valuable time to be here. The fact that you're here just shows me that you're somebody who cares about your career, interested in trying something new. And if you're watching this on the replay, you're also very cool, but not quite as cool as the 100+ people who are actually here at the workshop today. So I'm just so glad you're here. You know, usually we do this on a Tuesday, so I didn't know how a Thursday would turn out, but it looks like we've got a good crowd today. If you would, and some of you are already doing it. That's right, John White. Let's do this, right? Some of you, if you would, put in the chat where you're from and how long you've been on the job hunt, because I'd be curious to know. And I already see so many of you in there. So where you're from and how long you've been on the job hunt, if you would, please. I see you there. Andrew in Collegeville and Erica in Houston. I see you all. I see you there, Andrew. 2 weeks for you. Because, you know, sometimes being on a job hunt can feel a lot like pounding sand. Jose in Atlanta and William here in DC. Sometimes Michael in Washington and John, long ass 7 months. I see you there, John. Lyra in New York and I see a Mike in Chicago and Omar in Chicago. It can feel like waiting on a glacier, Paul in Lancaster. Wayne in Seattle, sometimes it can feel like wandering in the desert. Dino here in Alexandria, right? Or Gabrielle, right? I see you there, Claire, 5 months. Sometimes it can feel like going into an arena, Patricia in Davenport, or Lori in Vegas, right? Or Layla, right? I see you there, Leia, or Mondell in Pittsburgh, right? Charlie, 10 months. Ernesto, 4 years. I really see you there. Hi there, John Hood here in DC. Right? Sometimes it can feel like looking into an abyss. I see there's Scott in Waterloo. So who is this for? If you are unsure about the direction you want your career to go, if you're struggling to find ways to describe what you do, if you're uncertain if your resume is any good, there, Ryan in West Chicago, if you're wrestling with how to follow up after you apply, Jamie in Phoenix, right? I see there, Erica, right? Looking in real estate, financial. I see there, Erica. Right? If you're doing interviews that seem to go great and you still get a big fat no, Maurice in Chicago. If you're trapped in a job you don't like and you're just not sure how you can escape, Seth in Columbus, and especially if you're losing hope, this is for you. On the other hand, if you're somebody who's just super casual about your career, not really willing to do much work, reluctant to take responsibility for the result you've been getting, if you're just interested in finding a job to make money, sort of stuck in your ways, and you know a lot of reasons, I see there, Michael Singer. I see you about ageism exists. I see you, and you're unwilling to be authentic, Daniela, in 2 years. This may not be the workshop for you. So what you're going to learn today, how to get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. I'm going to offer you 4 strategies. I see there, David Larson. 9 tactics so you can do work that matters and pays what you and your family deserves. Hi there, Laura in Colorado, Michael in Ohio. So here's our agenda today. I'm just going to talk real briefly just about where I'm coming from. A lot of you may not even have heard of me before. Some of you have, and a lot of you probably haven't. I'm going to give you 4 strategies, 9 tactics that you can use to elevate your job search today. I'm going to have an invitation to you, right? So big surprise. I actually do have a program. We help a lot of people get hired fast. I know some of you have signed up for this workshop because you're specifically interested in getting help with your job search. If that's you, I do have an invitation. I'll talk about it later in the workshop where you can book a call with us. And if you're interested in getting our help, getting hired, we can make that happen. And we have Jessa and Jelly helping us today in the workshop. So thanks for dropping that link. But the requirements for booking a call, I'm going to talk about this later, are 1, you're going to keep the call. You're not going to book a call and cancel because that just sucks. Don't do that. 2, you're ready to get started. And 3, you're willing to make an investment in yourself. And if that's not you, that's okay. And then we're going to have a lot of time for Q&A. I specifically didn't book anything after this workshop, so we're going to have lots of time. So who is this guy and why does he think he can help me find a job? So guys, the way to work this in the chat is go ahead and put your questions in there. I'm going to try and get to many of them as possible, but Jessa and Jelly are going to mark them for Q&A after. So if you stick to them. So who is this guy and why does he think he can help me find a job? So look, guys, I'm kind of an oddball. I grew up in Asia. I came to the States when I was 17. I wound up transferring college 7 times. Here I am in the Midwest sort of wondering why it's so damn cold, right? I wound up as a scuba instructor after transferring college 7 times. I wound up as a scuba instructor on the island of Guam, which was really cool. That was fun. I spent about 10,000 hours underwater with the fish, like super fun. But after doing that for a while, my brain got a little spongy. Hey there, Karen in Texas, right? I see you there, Dylan, disabled. I got you. Thank you for your service, Dylan, right? Like my brain got a little bit spongy and I thought, there's got to be something more I got to do career-wise. I wonder what that could be. And so I thought, well, what would be the most prestigious job in the world I could have? And I thought, well, that must be something like the White House. So I took out a piece of paper and wrote the world's worst cover letter to send it to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Hey there, Roderick in New York and Andrea in Ohio. Sent it to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I said, dear Mr. President, you should hire me. Because that'll work, right? I figured it wouldn't, but at least it gave me something to do on an afternoon, right? But about a month later, I was going past the Guam post office and the guy came out and he's like, Eric, you got a letter from the White House. And so I opened it up and it was an internship application. Now look, folks, I didn't know what the hell an internship was, but I was really good at filling out applications because I transferred college so many times. So I filled that out, mailed that in. I was like, I'm never hearing back about that. But at least I had that cool envelope, which I thought was pretty cool. And I didn't hear back, but that sort of got me thinking, hey there, Randall in Virginia, right? That got me thinking, and I applied to some grad schools, and I wound up getting into GW here in DC, and I sort of landed with this big bushy haircut, was dumpster diving for furniture, was out, bought a pair of running shoes, was out running along the National Mall one day, ran past the White House. I was like, those White House bastards, they never even bothered to let me know about that internship thing. What's up with that? So I found a payphone. I put in a quarter. I said, hey, you White House people, what about that internship thing? I'm like, is this Eric from Guam? I'm like, yeah. They're like, man, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You're supposed to start in the First Lady's office on Monday. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I got a haircut, bought a suit, and I showed up. Now, look, folks, I know we got a lot of political craziness going on in our country right now. I don't know if my politics match yours, but this is going to tell you how old I am. This is back during the Clinton administration. I went to work for Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was a good boss. And I went up on her staff as an intern at first. Then I got hired, right? Was one of the few guys in Hillary land. Spent a lot of the Clinton administration there at the White House on her staff, followed her to the U.S. Senate, where I did a bunch of stuff for the great state of New York, and then followed her to the State Department, where I did a bunch of UNESCO stuff, eventually left Hillary land, became director of fellowships and internships at the Smithsonian, where all during my career at all different levels, early career, mid-career, senior career, all sort of different disciplines. I mean, think about the Smithsonian. We have people that deal with lizards and art and folk life and, administration, like all different sorts of industries. I saw the same movie over and over again, different levels, senior people, early people, mid-career people, where people were trying to figure out this career stuff, right? So I started coaching about 5 years ago, right? I give a lot of talks. I do a lot of speaking. I've written a bunch of books. I have an absurd number of pieces of credentials. It's all very impressive. I have testimonials, and you don't care about any of that. Because what you care about is, can I help you? I don't know, probably helped a lot of people. Let's find out if we can help you. So thanks, Randy. I appreciate that. All right. So let's find out. So we're going to start off here. 4 strategies that you can put to work right away in your job search. Here we go. We're not going to wait at all. So here's strategy number 1. I'm going to ask you to put this in the chat, and there's a little bit of a delay. What's a good resume about? I'd be curious to see if anybody gets it right. And those people who get it right, I tend to give away stuff, just so you know. All right. I see there's Sasnach. You love to hear some testimonials. Hang tight. Right? What's a good resume about? Put it in the chat if you would, please. I'm curious if anybody's going to get the right answer. We got a big crowd today too. What's a good resume about? If you would put, so Dan says what you did, not what you can do, what I can do for you. Okay. Keyword says Brit. I haven't seen the right answer yet. What you can do for the company. Nope. How do you see yourself? Nope. The STAR method. Experience, says Lisa. Have not seen the right answer yet. Making a first impression. Nope. Kiera, I like your story, right? It's not bad. A good resume, bullet points to tell your story. Yep, it's not a bad answer. Getting you hired. I have not seen the right answer yet. So Jeff says, I don't know, right? A short insert of your skills, right? Nope. Explaining how to set yourself apart. Nope. What's your value? Okay, look, folks, here's what a lot of you are saying. A lot of you are saying a good resume is about me. How I can help you. Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about, my qualifications. Mike says my quantifiable data. Me as a person, says Levon. And those answers are all incorrect. I'm sorry. A good resume is not about you. A good resume is about them. A good resume is about the person or organization you're sending to. And Brian, I see you saying it's about what I can do for the employer. Nah, it's about what's possible for the employer. Right? It's not about, and so Carter, I think you made the ATS, right? We're going to talk about that. So Scott says it's selling my capability. No, Scott, I love you, buddy. And it's not selling yourself. And it's not even, Rebecca, how you can help the company. It's about what's possible for the company, right? Hi there, Emily Key. I know an Emily Key. I don't know if you're the same one. I bet not, right? But it's about them, right? We want to be influential with another human being. The first thing we're going to talk about is them. Seth, we're not going to want to sell ourselves. Selling people is weird. We don't want to do that. We've gone over that historically, right? It's not about you. It's about them. And when I say resume, I'm talking about the cover letter. Yeah, we'll share some examples, Matt, right? It's about the cover letter. It's about your follow-up. It's about the networking. It's about all of it, okay? So a lot of people think a good resume is about me. Nah, it's not about you. Not a good one anyway. It's about them. And it's no wonder that we think a good resume is about us, because very often the first resume we ever put together was coming out of school. And in school, it is about us. Right? It's about our cubby, our desk, our workshop, our trophy, our transcript, our diploma. It's all about us. And yet when we move to the working world, it's not about us at all, right? It's about the client, the constituent, the customer, the shareholder. It's not about us, right? So if you get nothing else out of this workshop today, if you just get this, it will change your job search. Make it about them, right? Make it about them. It's not about you. It's about them. Because employers are focused on themselves. So if you want to be influential, you're going to want to focus on the employer too, because that's what they're focused on. Okay. Make the application about them. Okay. We're on to strategy number 2. I have more stuff I'd like to give away. Let's see if anybody gets this right. Hey, Mark G, you booked a call, man. We look forward to talking to you, Mark. Mark's going to show up. He's open to invest in himself. He's going to get ready to get hired fast. Good job, Mark. Okay. So if I went to a library and I looked at a shelf full of storybooks, on the front cover of those books, there's going to be some words. What do we call the words on the front cover of a storybook? Put it in the chat if you would, please. Let's see if anybody gets this right. I bet you will, right? I bet you will. And I know there's a little bit of a delay, so some of you are typing furiously, right? What do we call the words on the front cover of a storybook? Patty Moskla. You were the first one I saw. We're going to give it to Maurice Cook too, right? Those were the first 2 I saw. We've got a free free mini course for the 2 of you. It's about how to make your LinkedIn profile awesome. We're going to send it your way. But I see a lot of you getting the answer right? So Patty and Maurice, I think were the very first ones, right? But a lot of you are saying title. That's exactly right? Title. Right? Now, isn't it interesting that's the same term we use to label people in the workplace? Which tells me that just like we'll put the label on the front cover of a storybook, we'll put the label on the story of somebody's career. And as many of you already said, this brings us to strategy number 2, which is stories. All right, let me ask you this question. Here's another one for you. What percent of human decision-making do you think is emotional and what percent is logical? Put it in the chat if you would, please. So is it 50-50, 60-40, 40-60? What's the ratio? When it comes to human decision-making, is it mostly emotion or is it mostly logic? And what do you think the ratio is? Let's put it in the chat if you would, please. Because, okay, so Rachel says 70-30. Thomas says 80-20. Okay, Andrew says 80-20. Brenda says 70-30. Okay, Dan says it's 90% emotional. Okay. Oh, Mike Elginson. Mike got it right. Thank you, Mike. So we're going to send that LinkedIn course to Mike, right? It's 100% emotional. Human and Randy Heath, you make sure you're on LinkedIn. So you make sure you message me because we may not have your contact info, but Randy got it right too. It's 100% emotional. We want to send you that course, Randy, right? It's 100% emotional. Human decision-making is 100% emotional. Like people who walk around and say, we make data-driven decisions. No, they don't. Nobody does, right? When you got on this workshop, you made a very quick decision and it was 100% emotional about whether you liked me, the tone of my voice, my shirt, the music I was playing. Like it was, yeah, 90 rounds up to under. That's right, Dan, right? It's 100% emotional, right? And it's a very quick decision. So if we spend a lot of time trying to give data and facts, hey, Brendan J, we look forward to talking to you. You booked a call. Nice work, right? Brendan J, we look forward to talking to you, Brendan, right? It's 100% emotional. Right. And the reason we know this is when somebody gets their limbic system damaged, like the part that does emotion, they're fine. Right. Except that they can't make a single decision. Right. That's the debilitating part. Right. So we don't want to spend a lot of time in like our ability to process data is like it's like 40 bits a second or something. And our ability to process emotion is like 40 million bits a second. It's orders of magnitude greater. So we want to use that. And the reason stories are so important, as Maya Angelou said, right? People are going to remember how we make them feel. And stories are how we convey emotion. So if you're not using stories in your resume, in your cover letter, in your follow-up, you're really missing out. Make your application a story. Hey, Brittany D, we look forward to talking to you. Nice one. Look forward to talking to Brittany, right? Right? You're gonna wanna use stories. Okay. And realize that the title you just give yourself is just another story. And you can choose the story that you tell. And very often the thing to focus on is not whether the story you're telling yourself and others is factual. It's whether it's useful. Now, I'm not talking about lying, right? Yeah, we don't want to lie. That's not good. We're going to talk about that in a second, right? But all of this is storytelling. It's all pretty arbitrary, right? I mean, I told that story at the beginning about me, but I could have, curated in a bunch of different ways to emphasize a bunch of different things, right? So yeah. So for instance, one time, notice I'm about to tell a story. One time I was taking a bunch of applications and got this application from Maggie. And she had written how the summer before she'd been in a terrible car accident and her arm had been severed. Oh, that's terrible, right? So I was like, that's quite a story. So we brought her into the program. First day she showed up and I'm like making sure she has accommodations. This poor one-armed person, right? She might need accommodation. She shows up the first day, 2 arms. Now, it was bandaged from where it had been partially severed and reattached, and she was doing some physical therapy. But was I mad? Of course not. I was so happy Maggie had both her arms, and I remember that story to this day. People will remember how you make them feel, not the data. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. Speaking of how people make us feel, Daniel H., you booked a call. Congratulations to you, man. We look forward to talking to you. Okay, who's this guy? What's this guy's name? What's this guy called? Put it in the chat if you know, please. What's this guy's name? I'll give you a hint. He's from Idaho, right? Right? I see you there, Susan. We're going to talk about appropriate. Oh, wait. So Philip got it right. Napoleon Dynamite. That's right, Philip. So Philip, we're going to send you that free course about how to make your LinkedIn profile awesome. This is Napoleon Dynamite. Now, for those of you who haven't seen this particular film, this particular piece of cinema, like, please stop your job search and go watch it right now. Come on, folks. We're trying to create a society. And I don't want to spoil it for you. It turns out that Napoleon's this high school kid. He sort of beats to his own drum. He's in this particular scene, he's on stage at his school in front of the entire student body. He's managed to get a cassette tape up to the sound booth that's starting to play, and he's on the hook to like do some sort of performance. and he hasn't prepared a thing, right? That's right, Jarrell. We want some tots. That's exactly right. Right? So the music starts to play and Napoleon just does this dance. And it's the craziest damn thing. That's right, Dennis. Right? It's the craziest damn thing you've ever seen. I mean, he metaphorically opens the kimono, right? Like, I mean, it is wild. And when he's done, he's sort of panting and sweaty and the entire student body's like this. And then they burst into applause. Right? And the reason it works is because it's so authentic, right? Jamie Kern-Lima, the founder of Is Cosmetics, says everybody's a good dancer if they commit fully, and she's right. And this brings us to strategy number 3. Now I forget the person's name who said, "Well, I don't think it's appropriate to tell your story." I hear that, and there are isms out there, folks: racism, sexism, ageism, ableism, lots of isms. I'm not going to say that there aren't. And at the end of the day, the reason somebody's going to hire you is because of who you are, not in spite of it. Okay? So many of you are out there trying to be perfect. You're trying to sell themselves. You're trying to look good. Stop. Some of you are even out there, right, trying to trick the algorithms and the ATS. Let me give you a hint. Who do humans hire? I'll tell you, humans. Humans hire humans. They're only going to hire you for one reason. And it's not your skills. It's not your experience. It's not even who you know. It's that they trust you. So if we go in and we hide our stuff, like let's say hey, Michael B, we look forward to talking to you. Nice way to go, right? Like, let's say you hide your age because you're worried about your age. You know, those dates, those graduation dates just magically disappear, right? You're basically saying, I want you to trust me for you to pay me a lot of money and for me to work for you, but yet I don't trust you not to be ageist. So I'm going to hide my age. Don't do that. Those of you who have been told, you got to take off, only put the last 15 years of experience, which is probably somebody that you probably heard that from somebody who doesn't have much more than 15 years experience, by the way. Remember, it's never the scandal. It's always the cover up. People are going to hire you because of who you are, not in spite of it. So stop hiding who you are. Stop making yourself small. It's not going to work. I mean, look, I could be wrong, but those of you who have been on the job search for a while, how's it been going? Right? Humans hire humans. Right? They're going to hire you because they trust you. So perfect example. One time I was working with Nina and I can't fit 30 years of experience in 2 pages. Well, why the hell, Philip? Sorry, my language, Philip. I love you, buddy. We're going to send Philip the LinkedIn course because I don't want to give Philip a hard time. Philip, who said you had to get it on 2 pages? Why does a resume have to be on 2 pages? Thanks for that, Philip. I really appreciate that. Right? So like I completed my bachelor's degree when I was 62. Well, John, look what that says about you, right? You could have one of those paragraphs at the top of your resume saying, I'm somebody who knows how to take initiative and take risks and get outside my comfort zone. Or you could just put on there that I did my bachelor's when I was 62. Do you see? People are going to believe what we show them more than what we tell them, right? Absolutely. And congratulations to you, right? Yeah. Susan says, I cut my 2-page resume down to 1 page. Why would you do that, Susan? Don't make yourself small. Don't make yourself small for some lazy recruiter. Hey, Ray booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, Ray. So one time I was talking to Nina and we're going through Nina's resume. And I said, okay, Nina, what do you like to do for fun? Like what makes you weird? Well, Nina said, well, I have a pen collection. Well, that's super weird. We got to put that on there. And she hemmed and hawed, said, no, it's unprofessional. Can't put on there that I collect pens rather. So I hear from Nina about a month later. She says, guess what, Eric? I said, what? She said, I went into the interview. We talked about pens for 30 minutes and they made me the offer. Happens all the time. I had a client last year. She's from Vegas. I saw a couple of you from Vegas. And she decided to put at the end of her resume, 2 truths and a lie. Brilliant. Right? She got 2 interviews and 2 offers from just doing that. Now it's on my resume and all my clients, right? Another thing you can do is put things I'm most afraid of. Brene Brown has taught us that vulnerability builds trust. And if trust is the reason they're going to hire us, like, let's get vulnerable. Absolutely. 1,000,000%. Right? I do show how I have initiative and resistance. That's great, John. I love that. We're going to talk more about that. Okay. Authenticity is your superpower. Okay. So let's talk about Abe Lincoln here. Susan says, yeah, I'm sorry who advised you that, Susan. They're wrong. And I mean, I could be wrong, but how's your job search been going? Scott says the ATS are continuous scrolling pages. So pages don't really matter. And Scott, I hate to say this, ATS doesn't matter, by the way, right? There's not like some sort of one Skynet, matrix system out there. Yes, different companies use software and it's all different and we don't know how it works. The opportunity is going to be find a human, connect with a human. We're going to talk about this. Okay. So Abe Lincoln says, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree and I'll spend the first short sharpening the axe. Okay. So what we're talking about here is systems. The results you're currently getting in your job search are perfectly attuned to your current system. And you've got one, whether you think you do or not. The way you're applying, the way you're networking, the way you're following up or not, it's all a system. And so the results you're currently getting are perfectly attuned to your current system. So if you want to get different results than you've been getting, the opportunity is you want to adopt a different system, right? One that helps you work smart, not hard. Okay. And you could spend a lot of time and money developing that system, or you could take a system that has worked for like 1,000 people already, right? The idea here is we don't want to spend a lot of time like doing a lot of stuff that is ineffective, right? We want to make sure our system's effective and then ramp it up. And there's no such thing as a failed experience. If what we've been doing hasn't been working, right? You know, the definition of insanity is just to keep doing that thing. We don't want to do that. We want a different system, right? So look, this is the system a lot of you have been using. And I got to hand it to you folks. You've done wonders with this system. I mean, it's got the sticky gear shift and the button. And I mean, you are pouring your heart out with this system. And you're wondering why you can't steer your job search to success. Well, here's why. This is the system that's available. Now, look, you've tried every combination of things with this system and haven't been able to get it work. This is the opportunity. There's all sorts of bells and whistles and levers and stuff that you probably don't even know about. This is part of the reason. Hey, Samantha, we look forward to talking to you. I love all you guys booking calls, right? Like we look forward to talking to you, Samantha. Like this is the system that's available to you. And again, you could spend a lot of time and money trying to go from this to this on your own, or you could be like a lot of my clients and we just help them. We just get this handled, right? So how do you put this all to work? So look, I'm going to talk about the 9 tactics here, but I did want to mention, I do have a program. It's amazing. Blah, 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 blah. You don't care about the details, but like it works super well. We charge real American dollars for it and people get hired real damn fast, right? That's what I'll say about it for now. And I already see a lot of you are booking college. You're already interested. That's fine. Let me just show you an example. Let's, Jessa and Jelly, we're going to show them the clip from Andrew. So Andrew came to a workshop just like this. And he was sort of scared to like invest in himself, but he knew what he was doing wasn't working. And here's what happened to Andrew. And then we're going to keep going here. Let's show him Andrew, please.
I got a job offer thanks to Win at Work. I really appreciate all the help and materials and one-on-one coaching. I applied cold to an organization I was interested in and received the automated response, "We're pursuing other candidates." And then there was another posting for the same role or similar role in the same organization. And this time I really used a lot of the Win at Work process. I also really appreciate the coaching I received on interview prep from my coach, Patrick, and the Win at Work materials on interview prep. I feel like I really impressed the HR recruiter. She scheduled me for another interview with program directors a couple days later. They were also really impressed and said I had a lot of good answers, and I really just did what I learned in this program. Make it about them, talk about them, be authentic, and now I have my new job offer.
Yay, good job. Hey, Maurice, we look forward to talking to you, man. So notice there, the thing about what Andrew says there is he got the no. You know those automated no's you get? Like, again, if you get nothing out of this workshop, please just start ignoring those. Well, I have another client right now. Her name's Tanya. I just heard about this like yesterday. There was a job she was applying for, and she had gotten the no, and this was like months ago, and she just ignored it, and now she's going in for an interview. Yeah, you don't have to pay attention to those automated no's, by the way. It's one of the things that we teach in our program. Yeah, don't just ignore those automated no's. Stop paying attention to those. All right, so here we go. 9 tactics. Right. So, Michael, I hear you barely keeping a roof over your head and no discretionary funds. I hear you, man. So, Michael, just take what you can from this workshop. I'm cheering for you, Michael, 100%. And I really hear you. All right. So 9 tactics. Here we go here. So, okay, guys, pay attention. If you're watching the replay, this is something that I like to do for the replay folks. So they usually have me on 2 times speed. So I like to talk to 5 times speed. I know that's really fast and they wonder what the hell's going on. I just like to do that to wake up the replay folks. Thank you. Let's say there's a lake. And in the middle of the lake, someone's drowning. Okay. In the middle of the lake, someone's drowning. That person is surrounded by little other people in little boats. Okay. Other people. So somebody's in the middle of the lake drowning and they're surrounded by other people in little boats. If that was a job search, who's the person drowning? Let's put it in the chat if you would, please. Right? Let's put it in the chat if you would, please. So somebody's in the middle of the lake drowning and they're surrounded by other people in little boats. If that was a job search, who's that person drowning? And Michael, maybe the job market is terrible, or maybe that's just a story you're telling yourself. I don't know. All right, let's see here. So Megan says it's the applicant. Okay, I haven't seen the right answer yet. Oh, Andrea Tolwologan. Sorry, I mispronounced your name. Andrea, you got the right answer. And Caleb, you just booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, right? So Andrea, we're going to send you the course about how to make your LinkedIn profile awesome, because she's right, and Jason's right, and Dan's right, and all the others are right. A lot of times it can feel like one, and I want to acknowledge, I think it was Michael who was saying, I don't have any discretionary funds, right? When that's the situation, it can feel like we're drowning. Nah, you're not drowning. It just feels that way. It's actually the employer that's drowning. And the reason we know they're drowning is they've told us, they put up a job description to say, help, we're drowning in work, we need help. We're the one in the boats. Now, some of us, because we're coming from a place of scarcity, are rowing up to the people who are drowning, and we're saying, hey, pick me, I'm the best one. Let me sell myself. Let me tell you all about my skills and qualifications, and I'm really the best for you. And by the way, I'm super passionate about saving you. And the person in the water is like, dude, like, I need help, but not from that person, right? Because needy is creepy, right? We don't want to be that person. We want to be the person who's in the boat that says, hey, you're drowning. That's terrible. That must be so scary. Let's have a conversation to see how we might be able to get you out of the water. What's important here is not that I pull you out of the water. What's important is you don't drown and die. But notice I'm not talking about me here. I'm talking about them. Right. And Jess and Jelly, if we could, let's mark, I see it, Roth, and I saw it before, people talking about the market. I want to come back to that when we do Q&A. And Lisa's saying the system has changed. Okay. Thank you, Jess and Jelly. Okay. So like, you're not the one drowning. And if we approach it that way, it's not going to work. Right. So this comes down to our mindset. We want to approach our job search, not from a place of need, but from a place of service. This is game changing, folks. Right? Instead of coming from a place of, I hope they pick me, instead of looking at job listings and think, ooh, what do I want to do? Stop doing that. Instead, approach it from the question of, where's their possibility here for them and me, right? That's what we want to do. Realize that any employer that gets you would be lucky to do so. You need a job and you don't need that job. There's only one Lisa and John and Roth, right? Only one. You want to approach from a place of service. Hey, Irma D, we look forward to talking to you, right? Remember, people don't want to be sold. They want to be served. Selling ourselves is weird. Don't do that. We've gone over this historically. Selling people's weird. Buying people's even weirder. It's bad. Don't do it, right? So get out of the business of selling yourself. What they think about you is none of your business. Stop trying to look good. Start focusing on service, right? Absolutely. It's a real opportunity. Okay, so some of you have seen the show Deadliest Catch, right? Where crab fishermen go out on the Bering Sea in Alaska and they put these big steel cages on the bottom of the ocean. It's usually really icy and dangerous and scary. And they put a little bait in those steel cages, hoping to catch some crabs. So Bob the crab comes along and he's like, oh, free lunch. And Bob starts nibbling, and then Sally and Cheryl and more crabs join. Eventually the bait's gone pretty quick, but more and more crabs start joining. Now here's the interesting part. Whenever one of those crabs is like, wait a second, there's no more food in here. I'm out of here, boys. The other crabs will pull that crab back in. They'll even pull off one of their limbs. They'll even do a crab murder to keep that crab inside that box, because instinctively crabs like to be with other crabs. It makes them feel safe. And then, of course, it's the most dangerous thing because they all get pulled up to become dinner. And this brings us to tactic number 2, which is environment. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not getting traction in my job search because I don't have motivation, or it's the market, or I'm too old, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know if any of that's true. But what I can say is none of those stories are particularly useful, right? Hey, Alicia, we look forward to talking to you, Alicia, right? Here's the opportunity instead, is to focus on your environment. You want to focus on an environment that's supportive. And when I'm talking your environment, I'm talking about your psychological environment, your spiritual environment, your social environment, emotional environment, right? All physical environment, right? Environment eats motivation for lunch, right? We think, oh, I'm procrastinating. No, you're not. Your environment sucks, right? Hey, Jeff C., we look forward to talking to you too, right? Like, so the opportunity is you want to optimize your environment in a way that supports you. And look, sometimes we have family members that are like, oh, just take that job for $50,000, which is 50 less than you wanted, but it's better just to settle. It feels safe, just like those crabs, right? So that's what we want to avoid here. Most people don't even consider the environment. It's a huge mistake. We want to be intentional about our environment. We want to safeguard it. There's a reason when race car drivers drive 500 miles in a circle. Hey, Cynthia, and we look forward to talking to you, right? Drive 500 miles in a circle, that they don't look at the outer wall, because the car is going to tend to go where they look. So it's the same thing in your job search. If you don't have clear vision over where you're going to go, you're just going to keep going around in a circle, right? There's I skipped ahead here by accident, right? There's this idea of reference groups, right? We're the average weight, income, education of the people we hang out with the most, right? So if you're not around people that are supporting you, you really want to dial that in. It's a huge, huge thing. All right. This is the thing about the race car. Sorry, I jumped ahead, right? It's hard to hit a blurry target, right? We want to have vision in our job search. Hey, Becca M., we look forward to talking to you, right? We want to have vision in our job search, right? What's the proverb where there is no vision, the people perish? And this brings us to tactic number 3, right? Sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll say, well, how much money do you want to make? And they're like, anywhere from 50 to 150. And I'll be like, well, what do you want to do? Well, I want to help people. And I'm like, that's beautiful. And it's super vague, right? It's super vague. Like Bruce Lee, what did he say? Be careful what you tell yourself, because your body's listening, right? So if I say the color red, all of a sudden, all of you are much more aware of the color red just because I said it, right? Our brain literally will miss things if we don't if we're not specific, we don't make a specific request. This is a thing. Again, this is it's an idea called the reticular activating system, where if we drive a new car off a lot, and we're like, nobody's got this car, then and then we'll see it everywhere, right? Because we weren't looking for it before. So you want to have this vision. We want to have the compass before we go into the forest, right? Before we go in the forest. Okay, here we go. Here's something for the chat. Let's see if anybody gets this right. So if I went to the store and I bought this thing, what would I be buying? Put it in the chat if you would, please. I'm sure. I'm curious if anybody will get it right. So if I went to the store and I bought this, hey, Rachel L., we look forward to talking to you, right? Went to the store and I bought this. Okay, so Jonathan says a tool. Susan says a drill. Kevin says a electric drill. Connor says a brand. Raymond says a tool. Haven't seen the right answer yet. What would I be buying? Sheila says a drill. Andrew says a wireless drill that's missing a battery. Britt says it's an investment. Okay. I haven't seen the right answer yet, though. Possibilities. Ooh, CJ, that's not bad. I like it. I like CJ's answer. Solution. Okay, I haven't seen the right answer yet. Okay, here's what we're actually buying. And CJ, we're going to send you the course, the free LinkedIn course, because you're the closest so far. What we're actually buying are holes. That's what we're actually buying, holes. Because I don't need this sitting around my garage. What I actually need is a hole. And actually, I don't want a bunch of holes in my wall. What I actually want is a place to put the hook. There we go, Randy. I knew we were going to take care of you from before, but Randy got it right? Right? I don't need a bunch of holes in my wall. What I actually need is a place to put the hook. Oh, Dan, did we miss you, Dan? Sorry, there's late. Let's make sure we give Dan Thesis the course too. We got you there, Dan. Sorry about that. Sometimes there's a delay here. We miss you. Okay, so let's make sure we give Dan Thesis the course too. I don't need a bunch of hooks hanging out of my wall. What I actually need is a place to hang the picture. And actually, I don't need a place to hang the picture. What I actually want is the feeling that I get when I look at the picture of my family that's hanging in the hook, that's in the hole that was made by the drill. And this brings us to safety, right? If the one reason they're going to hire us is because they trust us, it's probably because we give them safety. So the last thing we want to do is go in there and talk about ourselves, because that's not going to make them feel safe, right? We're going to want to talk about them. And actually, we're not even going to want to talk about the holes, right? What we're going to want to talk about is the thing that keeps them up at night when they're lying in bed trying to go to sleep. If we can get to that black swan, do you see how this is so much more sophisticated than trying to hide our age and ATS systems and looking good and selling ourselves? Like, that stuff just doesn't work, my friends. And I know that's what the vast majority of people are out there telling you to do. And I'm sorry. That's why I'm here. Okay? That's why I do this stuff. Because all that stuff you've been hearing, it doesn't work. And you don't have to take my word for it. Like, how's your job search been going? Okay? The opportunity is to give that employer safety. What keeps them up at night? How can you make them feel seen, heard, and understood? You give that to them, game over. Hi, Samantha W. We look forward to talking to you. All right, here on to our next tactic. Here is a resume. Now, look, folks, my resume is sort of like the model home of resumes, right? It's really good, but this is a resume, and resumes are kind of stupid, right? And they're the least bad way we've come up with to figure this out since like Roman times, right? And this brings us to the idea of paper. Your resume, your cover letter, your follow-up, right? The last thing we want to do is make our stuff look like everybody else. It's like professional camouflage, right? There's software out there that's like, hey, we'll have your resume do best practices. You don't want your resume to have best practice, right? Best practice, another word for best practice is average. Camouflage. Don't do it, right? Realize that how you communicate, when, where, with whom, what you say, it all really matters. And you want to communicate with those employers in a way they can't ignore. Right? For instance, I have hyperlinks in my resume. Do you have hyperlinks in yours? If you do, great. If not, why not? Stick them in there. I don't know if they're going to click it, and it doesn't matter. It shows them you know how to use technology. And by the way, some of you have that big honking paragraph at the top of your resume, like I am a skilled professional with blah, 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 blah. Stop that. There's no context. It's meaningless, right? And some of you even put the title of the job you're applying to, like they're going to be like, wait a second. This guy's an ancient Babylonian cabinet maker. What are the chances that's the position we're hiring? What are they? No, they know. It's meaningless, right? Those of you who have hired people know the first thing they're going to look at is the experience. Just go straight to that. And don't summarize a bunch of stuff for lazy recruiters, right? Don't take off years of experience that probably were very, foundational to your professional being currently. Stop doing all that stuff. It doesn't work. It makes you small, right? Makes you small. So stop doing that. Okay. All of that. Okay. If a job application is submitted and there is no follow-up, does it even make a sound? I would humbly suggest it doesn't. So here's my question for you. When you apply someplace, do you follow up? And by the way, if you do, your follow-up is not, hey, just checking in. And hey, I'm really passionate. And hey, I'm wondering, don't do that. That's all about you. You want to follow up and you want to make it about them. Now, some of you are saying, but Eric, when I follow up, there's no contact info, right? There's no contact info. And look, so I'm in the mood to give some stuff away right now, right? I've got a mini course that's called How to Contact Anybody. I'm going to give it to you for free right now. Here's what you got to do. One, you're going to go to my LinkedIn profile. We're going to put it in the chat. You're going to go to my LinkedIn profile. Thank you, Jess and Jelly. You're going to click follow, and then you're going to send me a message in LinkedIn with the word chicken. Okay, if you do those three things, you go to my LinkedIn profile, you hit follow, and then you're going to message me the word chicken. Thanks, Dylan. I'm going to send you the free course about how to contact anybody. Then you'll never have another excuse about, I can't find the contact info. Or if you do, it's going to be rare. And by the way, we don't want to be contacting recruiters. Recruiters are like trained ninjas at keeping you separate from the hiring manager, because don't tell anybody, but if you talk to the hiring manager, maybe the recruiter doesn't even need to be involved. They don't like that. They like to get paid. Recruiters like to be in the middle. So it's fine. Just circumvent our recruiter friends. Find the hiring manager who speaks your language. And by the way, that's also why when you get one of those automated responses, you find the hiring manager, right? You make the hiring manager feel seen, heard, and understood. They're going to knock on the back door of HR and say, hello, HR. You people who've been taking so long. I've been working my tail off over here. I need help, right? Dylan, Lorena. I want to talk to Dylan and Lorena. Here is their resume. All of a sudden, magically, you'll just get another message. Congratulations, you have an interview. It's the damnedest thing you've ever seen. Follow up, right? Initiative is rewarded. And sometimes people think, oh, I don't want to follow up. That's too pushy. I don't want to follow up. That's too pushy. So if you were on the water and somebody was face down in the water and you said, hey, buddy, you okay? And they didn't move. Hey, Sarah H., we look forward to talking to you. They didn't move. You wouldn't be like, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to bother them. No, you jump in the water. You'd swim over. You flip them over. You start doing mouth to mouth. Right? You do all of that stuff, right? And if they said, lady, I'm just snorkeling, you'd be like, I'm sorry, my bad. But we would be willing to offend in the name of service, right? We'd be willing to risk offending in the name of service. That's what you want to do here. This job searching, it's not about looking good. It's not about impressing them. It's not even about not offending them. It's about serving them, I would humbly suggest. All right, here we go. Tactic number 7. Hey, all right. Yeah. You don't want to make it look so standard, Philip. Okay. So networking. Some of you have seen the Academy Awards. right? And some big actor gets up there and she's won a big award and she gets up there and she's like, yeah, I got nobody to thank. And the Academy's sort of looking around. It's a little awkward. They start playing the music and people are just kind of like, well, I guess no, it doesn't happen. Right? She gets up there. She's like, I got to thank this person and this person, this person, this person. And they're playing the music. They're trying to drag her off stage. When we do great things, we often don't do it alone. Asking for help doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look strong. Benjamin Franklin talked all about this. Okay. So if you're like wringing your hands about whether you put the open to work banner on your LinkedIn or, there's probably, if I went to you right now and I said, okay, how many people do you know in the world? Some of you would probably be like, well, oh, that's okay, T. Patel. That's okay, P. Patel. We'll look out for you about the chicken thing. we'll look out for you about the chicken thing. We got you, T. Patel. Right? So if we went to your contacts and I said, how many people do you know? You'd probably be like 1,000. And I'd be like, okay, well, how many of those people know you're actively on the job search? You'd be like, a good number. And I'd be like, well, how do they know? Well, I posted it on LinkedIn 3 months ago. And so I'd be like, so 333 people would have had to gone to your LinkedIn on that day, seen that post, and remembered it from 3 months ago. And now you'd be getting a little nervous. And then I'd be like, well, how many of those people know you're actively still searching and you would welcome their help as of like a week ago? And now you get real worried and you'd be right to, right? Use your network. You've got a whole network of people out there that knows your excellence firsthand, that wants to help you. And by the way, when we ask people for help, it's a gift because we wouldn't ask for help unless it was worth asking for. And we want to have a system around this, right? Some of you have like the individual fishing poles, right? And you're doing one-off asks, and it's like trying to get the right bait on the right fish at the right depth at the right time in the right place. I mean, boy, a lot of things got to line up there, folks. What we want to instead is filter the ocean. That's what we want to do because we don't know where the opportunities are going to be up, and very likely it's going to be in the place we least expect. You want to have a system for this. Hi, Tracy B. We look forward to talking to you. Look forward to meeting you, right? No one-offs. All right, let's talk about interviews. You ready for the best interview advice in the world? And by the way, if you haven't gone to my profile and hit follow and wrote the word chicken, like, what are you waiting for, right? Interviews. Here's the best interview advice in the world. Are you ready? Please prepare yourself. I'm about to bestow the advice. You may want to write this down. Don't answer their questions. Because in an interview, they're really only asking one question. And that question is this one. Can we trust you? All the questions, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about a time, like what's your greatest strength? It's all the same question. It's can we trust you? And because of society, we can't reply back and be like, yes, you can trust me, because that would be weird. So we have to do this sort of dance that we call interviews, right? So rather than ask the actual question, which they actually don't care about, right? We want to give answers and tell stories that help build trust. They won't even remember the question they asked, right? This is how I work with a lot of people who come to me after they have, they've gotten to like the final round like 6 times and then they don't get the job and they're tired of that happening. They come work with us. We help them break through that and they get offers. I had a guy in Chicago named Henry. Same thing happened, right? We worked with him and he went through a series of interviews and lo and behold, a guy named Rod joined the program, got a job in 10 days. He'd been looking for 7 months. Same thing. Stop focusing on the questions. Stop doing that, right? You want to focus on the answers and the stories you're going to tell. That's going to help build trust. Okay, guys, final tactic. Here we go. Let's talk about offers. Sometimes I'll talk to people. Yeah, okay, panel interview. Kathleen, we'll come back to you. Hey, Steve P, we look forward to talking to you, right? Let's talk about offers. Sometimes I'll go to people and I'll be like, well, how much are you applying? They're like, well, Eric, you got to understand, I'm really deliberate about where I apply. I'm like, why would that be? Well, if I get the job, then I have to accept it. And then I have to move the family to Connecticut and default negative future. Stop. Here's the opportunity for you. You want to realize 2 things. 1, you don't have to worry if you're qualified for a job that you apply to. They'll have an opinion, right? They'll have something to say about that. 2, you don't have to worry if you want a job unless and until it's offered. Very natural that you would think about it, but unless until it's offered, you don't know what you're saying yes or no to. And even when it's offered, if there's an aspect of it, pay, location, schedule, all that kind of stuff, you can always counter, right? We want to live in the world of possibility, not live in the world of judgment, right? As Walt Whitman said via Ted Lasso, playing darts, right? That's what we want to be about. Live in the world of possibility, right? So don't worry until you get the offer. You want to apply from a place of service. Okay, folks, you guys have been such a great crowd. We're going to take some questions here. Okay. 4 strategies, 9 tactics. You're going to want to write these down. I'm going to leave this up for a second. Okay. Now, so some of you are hearing this stuff and you woke up this morning and you're like, oh, another day in the job search. I hope something's different today. I humbly invite you to consider that maybe this is the thing that's different. The things you've heard me say are very likely, at least some of them, different from the stuff you've heard before. Other people are telling you to sell yourself and hide stuff. I'm telling you to do the opposite, right? Others are telling you to do the ATS. I'm telling you not to worry about ATS. Others have, all that kind of stuff. Hey, Odingo, we look forward to talking to you, right? So, like I mentioned, we're going to do some Q&A here, but I just want to mention this because a bunch of people are texting me and asking, right? The last thing you want to do is keep doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result you've been getting. That's literally the definition of insanity. It's like being on a hamster wheel. This stuff is not Googleable, by the way, right? This isn't stuff that I've stolen from other people. This is stuff I've come up with on my own, working with about 1 billion clients over the last many, many years and through my own career. Okay. It's a program called Get Hired Fast. The idea is we get you hired in 3 months or less. The guarantee is if we don't do that, we stay with you until we do. Right? I hear you there, Jeff, worried about age. Let's mark Jeff, right? Let's make sure we talk about age, Jeff Cooperstein, right? Thanks, Jess Angeli, right? So it comes with a bunch of stuff. It's a lot of one-on-one coaching. It's a group coaching. There's a course. Hey, Timothy R., we look forward to talking to you, right? There's a community that comes with it. It comes with a lot of stuff. But all the thing that's really important for you is it works, right? I think we had 6 people get offers last week. I'm not joking. It was crazy. And by the way, this is August. People aren't supposed to get hired in August. We just had 6 people get offers last week, right? A lot of examples. I don't want to bore you because I know we need to get to questions. Hey, sure, Kant, look forward to talking to you, right? So there's Jessie. She was somebody we worked with last year and was leading a bunch of nonprofits. She was a senior person. She got like 2 job offers working with us. And got the offer. And Ann saying, do you only concentrate on a particular industry? Yeah, Ann, that's not my experience. Like I can have a rocket scientist. Hey, Donna Ann, we look forward to talking to you. Like a rocket scientist and an art historian in the same room, they're going to have the same issue. I can have 2 rocket scientists and they'll have completely different issues. So, a lot of times people think, well, all engineers and all these people, they get jobs a certain way. It's not my experience. My experience is everybody's different. So for some people, it's the clarity. For some people, it's they don't know how to write a resume. For some people, it's they're not following up. For others, it's they have imposter syndrome. For others, they're just beaten up from their last job. Everybody's different. And so we treat everybody not as the job that they have, but as the person that they are, right? So here's another example. Rob was just getting started in his job search right at the beginning. He was like, Eric, I don't want to be one of these people that's job searching for months. I'm like, well, let's take care of that. And he got hired within 2 months right at the start. Wayne got a couple of offers when he was working with us. Amy was great. She was one of those people that had gotten really close on a bunch of different interviews. And we do have a guarantee. A bunch of different interviews and had gotten really close. She joined our program. I think was with us for about 2.5 months, and she got that happened once or twice more, and then she got the job she really wanted. John Marin was like a huge muckety muck. He was like a CEO guy making bazillions of dollars, and we got him in a CEO job. As I recall, if I remember that correctly. Philip was an early professional. He got like 2 offers at once. And Angel, right? We have this clip. I'm just going to show this clip from Angel. She's worked with us right at the beginning of the year. And hey, Duke M, look forward to talking to you. And let's show him the clip from Angel, if we could, please. In the time we've got left, I'm curious, especially if there's somebody we haven't heard from yet. They've had a win, a loss. Angel, I got to ask you, what do we know, if anything? What do we know?
I got the
Yay!
job!
Whoa!
The offer. I'm moving in a week. Yeah, it's crazy. And I know when we first met, you're like, oh, like, let's get something by your birthday. And my birthday is in 4 days, so I was able to do it. Yay!
And I just want to acknowledge you. Like, you dove in, you did it, you did the work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It would not have been possible without like signing up for this program. Truly, I think it made the difference for me.
So good, Angel.
Yeah.
Really happy for you.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Yay, Angel. Yay, Angel. Okay, so look, folks, some of you are like, you know what? This stuff's really great. I'm going to go try it on my own. Great. And here's my experience. A lot of times I'll hear from people who attended this workshop like 6 months ago. So I'm hearing back from people that attended this in February and they're like, Eric, I've been doing all the things. And I'm I'm like, show me. And they're talking about the holes. They're still talking about themselves, right? They join the program, they get different results real damn fast, right? That's why I'm like really confident in this program, is because people who are on the job hunt for a long time, they join the program, they tend to get hired fast. Like, and you know, it's not a perfect science, folks. So if I was like, I can guarantee you're going to get hired in 2 weeks, you should hang up, because I don't know that. What I can say is, doing a program like this, you're going to get hired faster. You're going to get a better salary than you would on your own. A lot of times people pay for the program just in the salary negotiations. And some of you are thinking that waiting is free. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not free, right? If this is the salary you want to make, here's how much it's costing you per month. Here's how much it's costing you per week. So if we can get you hired a couple weeks sooner, you like more than pay for the program. Hey, TLCB, we look forward to talking to you, right? Right. And again, we go through everything, like, you know, different milestones of the course. And you start off, you're going to get your resume squared away. You're going to get your LinkedIn fixed up. You're going to get your cover letter squared in. You're going to, you know, follow up and networking and interviews. We do all this stuff. If you're not sure what you want to be, we help you with that. Or if you're just like tired of doing this on your own, right? It works. So those of you who are worried about money, some of you are like, how can I afford it? Right? So look, you're already paying this much per week. So one could ask, like, how can you not afford getting help, right? Unless you just like spending like a couple of grand a week, right? Hey, and we're going to put the link in the chat for you, right? So we have multiple payment plans available. Like if your credit's anywhere close to okay, like there's financing available. Because a lot of times people come to me and they're like, hey, can I get the job and pay you later? Like nearly, right? Because we have finance plans. Winds up being a couple $100s a month, and you pay the rest when you get the job. And the guarantee we offer is, again, we're going to get you hired in 3 months or less. If we don't, we stay with you until you do. And we place 100% of the people who join this program. Like, as long as you don't give up, we're not going to give up on you. Like, we stay with you. Yeah. So a lot of testimonials, a lot of evidence. The question here is not like, does the program work? The question is, do you want to keep doing the way you've been doing it and paying this much? Or do you want to make an investment in yourself and let's just get this job thing handled? So the way you're going to do this is you're going to book a strategy call. 3 requirements to book a call. 1, you're not going to book a call and like flake, right? Those of you who've been on the job hunt know it sucks to get ghosted. Like, don't ghost us. That's just not cool. Don't do that. Hey, Jeff, we look forward to talking to you as well, right? Also, if you're like, hey, I want to get hired 3 months from now, great, come back in 3 months. So don't do that. So you're going to show up for the call. You're going to be open to taking action. You're going to be ready to get hired now. You're going to be open to investing in yourself. Those are the 3 requirements, right? So that's you, like, book a call, right? It's really easy. A bunch of you like, hi, Kate T. We look forward to talking to you. A bunch of you are already booking calls. Look forward to talking to all of you. So enough of all that. I specifically allowed a bunch of time for questions, and you're going to get to see my giant head now. So that'll be a treat for everybody. Let's take some questions. I saw there were a bunch of good ones. And Jessa and Jelly, thank you so much for your help. All right. I'm going to spend a little time here and take some questions from you guys because I really appreciate your asking them. Okay. So what if I'm a disabled veteran? Yeah, Dylan. So I saw your thing earlier before. So thank you for your service. And disabled veterans get jobs too. Federal hiring is a little funky right now, as you might know. A lot of times with disabled vets, you can get status when it comes to federal hiring. And I'd be curious to know how much of your service record is on your resume, because a lot of times people, they like hiring heroes. Just saying. Hi, Samara. Nice to see you. Glad you booked a call. Right. So yeah. And again, I hear that you're a disabled vet, and I want to do this with great respect. Notice that that's still about you. Understandably so. So how can you make it about them and you show your story rather than maybe focus on that? And again, I don't know you at all, so I want to say that with great respect. And it's hard to tell just from a little comment what's going on there, but I hope that makes sense. Okay, what's the next question? Charlie, how to return to work after an injury? Hey, Andrew D, we look forward to talking to you from work and still have a lot of limitations such as treating, transportation. Yeah, so it sounds like maybe you got some disability you're coming back from too. It's never the scandal; it's always the cover up, Charlie. So there's some laws that protect people on this stuff, but a lot of jobs can be remote. I don't know the particular kind of work you do, but again, Charlie, sort of like I was saying to Dylan, like, what if instead of making it about you, you made it about them? So rather than thinking, hey, I'm coming back from an injury, understand. Hope you're feeling better. take that away, focus on them instead. What would be possible for you if you change that mindset? I wonder. All right, next question. Let's see here. Sasan, I'm mispronouncing your name. Do you guys help international students as well? Yeah, we do. And, sometimes with international students, people are working with visa stuff. I will say that, getting somebody to sponsor a visa is it's a little bit more of an uphill battle. And, but we've done it. We do it. As long as you're willing to invest in yourself and give it a go, we will, we'll do it. We'll do it for you too. So that's what I'd say there. Okay, what is next here? So this is from Ramon. In my mid-40s, how can I pivot to a whole new industry without having to go back to grad school? So interesting, Ramon, I really appreciate this question. A lot of times, and so I'll use teachers as an example. Sometimes I'll work with teachers and they'll be like, well, I'm going to reinvent myself. So I'm going to take away, no. So Ramon, I don't know what industry you were in before, but chances are whatever industry you're coming from, hey, Ann, we look forward to talking to you. Hi, Kirsten P. We look forward to talking to you too, right? Like whatever industry you were in before, I bet there are elements of it that are applicable to the industry you're going to. Probably stuff like professionalism, communication, relationship, project management. There's only probably about 1,000 things. So you could tell yourself the story, hey, Anjali, look forward to talking to you. You could tell yourself the story that what you're doing is completely different. Or you could tell yourself the story that what your last job is going to be very similar to your future industry. It's just a slight change, right? Both stories are equally believable. The question to ask is which one's more useful for you, as I would humbly suggest. Okay, what's our next question here? Will you talk about AI as part of a system? Yeah, Emily, I've really come around on AI, because if the premise here is that humans hire humans, we don't want to give up the opportunity to be as human as possible, right? And where all our competitors are out there, like using like a lot of AI and having AI write their stuff and AI write their resume, that's great news for us. Because people are going to hire us because of our humanness, not in spite of it. Think of all the automation that's out there, right? People are going to hire you, Emily, because you're the best Emily there can be. Now, that being said, like, am I against using something like ChatGPT to like brainstorm and give ideas? I'm not a crazy person. Of course, that's okay. But we just want to be really careful, Emily. You want your stuff to be the most Emily possible because the reason they're going to hire you is because you're Emily. That's the reason. Yeah. All right. What's next here? I love all these questions. Angie, how do you show players that you're the right fit? I mean, how do you show you can solve their problems unless we know their pain points? So great question, Ann. So first of all, you're going to want to know their pain points. So you might want to do a little research, or you could ask them, or sometimes it's just a guess, right? And, there's a real distinction between saying, hey, what can I do for you? That's sort of like giving somebody homework versus saying, so Ann, if I was going to do it for you. So Ann, I could say, Ann, how can I help you find a job? And you might be like, well, and yeah, you'd have to give me some stuff in it. Or I could say, hey, Ann, you've really been on the job search for a while. Just want to acknowledge you that you stayed all the way to the end of this workshop and you booked a call. And I'm wondering about the third N. I'm wondering if that's a typo or if that's how you really spell it. If that is how you really spell it, that's awesome. And if it's a typo, that's okay too. That's super authentic. But notice I'm talking about you the whole time. Now, it's kind of a ridiculous example here, right? But like, that's sort of how you do it. Okay, let's see what other questions we have here. I really appreciate all of you booking so many calls here. Okay, John White says, oh, Sean N booked a call. How long is the course? How fast will we get hired? Is there a guarantee? How much? Okay, John White. So there is a course. It's about 6 hours worth of content. People can often get through it in like a couple of days, right? It's split up 15 modules. They're little baby modules. It's really digestible. It's my giant head, right? You can see me age to the course. All right. And sometimes a little fatter, sometimes skinnier, right? It's a real, but it's not about me. It's about you. Right. So yeah. So I basically take all the best stuff that I've ever come up with, job stuff, and I put it into the course. And sorry, can we put that question up one more time? Sorry, Jessa and Jelly. I think you were asking how long is it? Thanks, guys. It's the idea is you get hired in 3 months or less, and the vast majority of our clients do when they do the stuff, right? When they take the coaching, that's the idea. Sometimes people take a little longer. Sometimes people don't take nearly as long. And then they're like, well, what do I do with all this extra coaching? We're like, well, let's make sure what happened in your last job doesn't happen in your next job. And for people who take a little bit longer, like we stay with them. They're coming to our group sessions. They're getting coaching through our Slack channel. They have access to the course, like all the things. So they're and if somebody wants to jump on an extra call, a coaching call, like I'll jump on with them. Right. But a lot of times they don't need it. A lot of times they, hey, David S., look forward to talking to you. A lot of times they, it's just a matter of like doing the reps and getting the offer. Yeah. I hope that answers all those questions. Okay. What is our next one? Let's see here. Kathleen, any tips for a panel interview? Yeah, Kathleen. So with panel interviews, again, it's a great opportunity. Like especially if you know who's in the panel, is to slip in there things like, hey, Bob, like I know you went to the University of such and such, or I really noticed this is one of the things that you do, just to slip that in. You want to make everybody on it. Because the thing about a panel is sometimes they feel like, oh, well, I'm just a member of a panel, right? Like I'm sort of anonymous. And if we can make each member of that panel feel seen, heard, and understood, after you walk out, they'll close the door. They'll be like, well, sure, like that one. Like, did you like that? I like that one too. Yeah. I've seen it happen so many times, right? So many times. That's how we do that. All right, guys, let's see. And just Angela, you tell me if we're out of questions. You can put it in the main chat. I'll see it. Wait, did you say that you don't want to answer their questions, Ling? Yeah, definitely don't want to be answering their questions, because if they say, a question like, well, tell me about a time that you've done blah, blah, blah. Now, again, I'm being a little bit dramatic here. Right? We don't want to focus on, hey, Sonia, we look forward to talking to you, right? We don't want to focus on the actual substance of their questions, because they really don't care about the time you did this own thing. What they're really trying to find out is, tell us a story and we'll decide if we can trust you based on the story you tell. So you're going to focus on building the trust, not the actual thing. Like, tell us about a time you made a mistake. They don't really care about the mistake. What they care about is, are you somebody that takes ownership? Hey, Andrea, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but either way, we'll take you however you pronounce it, Andrea, right? You're going to focus on that rather than trying to get, now look, if it's a technical interview and, it's really 1 + 1 = 2, that's a little bit of a different thing, right? But otherwise we're going to want to focus on the story is what we're going to focus on. All right, guys, what's the next question here? Do you only contrast? Yeah, I've sort of already answered this, Anne. We sort of focus on, hey, Ramon D, we look forward to talking to you, right? We focus, my experience is, there's sort of this idea out there that all, people from certain industries all get hired the same way. That's not my experience. And I've coached people from just about every industry I think there is. Like I've coached doctors and people that, hey, for Ferdinand, we look forward to talking to you, right? So yeah, we focus on the person, not the industry, not the title that somebody happens to put on them. Thanks. I think you give me a good idea for a blog post on that. All right, guys, we're going to take just a few more questions. I'm mindful of time and really appreciate yours. Matt says, can I see an example resume with them, about them, the employer? I feel that if I make the resume about them, how could I be evaluated as a qualified candidate? So Matt, with that, what we want them to do is we want them to see possibility in your resume. Right. So that's how we're making it about them. We want them to read your resume and for them to be like, say these words. That's right. That's right. That's what we're after. Right. Boy, Matt. Yeah, that's right. He's done that and this and that. Yeah, that's like what we want. That's right. That's what we want. Right. And the way you're going to build trust with them is by showing them that you understand them. And the way you show that you understand them is talk about the stuff that they care about. That's how you do it. All right, guys, we're going to do 2 more questions here. 2 more questions. And I know we've got so many good ones. Christopher Williams says, how effective is using online learning to boost a resume? I mean, it's okay, right? It's okay. But again, it's pretty automated. I would rather have a resume written by Christopher that was human, right? Than something that was done by machine learning. Because look, if it's machine learning, I can just hire the machine. I don't need a Christopher, right? What we want to show them is like, they're going to want to hire Christopher because Christopher's Christopher. Hey, Kim L, we look forward to talking to you. All right. Final question here. Let's see the last one here. Last question. All right. William Wilkie, the IT industry almost 100% filters the ATS. How do you overcome that? So William, you might be right. You might be wrong. I would humbly suggest that, this is a great thing to end on actually. See, when it comes to like, if we want to make, I flew back yesterday, I was on an airplane, right? We want to make, like, we're dealing with like curing diseases or like a heart transplant or making an airplane fly. We want to know some stuff, right? Guys in white lab coats, right? Like we want to know some stuff, right? Knowing is good. And yet when it comes to something like job searching, knowing is the enemy of learning, right? So if we know that the IT industry 100% filters with ATS, well, hell, there's just not a lot of places we can go there because we know it. Knowing closes doors. Whereas if we're like, I'm curious how this organization is going to receive my resume. And if they normally receive it this way, I'm curious about how they could receive it in another way that would serve them best. See, when we start to ask those kind of questions, doors and windows open up all over. So we don't want to go into a job search knowing pretty much anything, because it's that knowing that creates those blind spots, and it's those blind spots that hold us back. I know that I'm too old. I know that it's because I don't know. I know that I've gotten blackballed, right? I know my resume is too long. I know my resume is too short. Like all that knowing, like, I don't know, maybe you're right, maybe wrong, but what I can say is that knowing just isn't useful, at least in my experience. So look, folks, I really acknowledge you for being here. Thank you for so many of you for staying so long. And if you're watching the replay, glad to have you here as well. Look, folks, I'm cheering for you. Please know that like you're special and weird and unique, and it's not because of this job search, right? If you're having trouble in your job search, like you're not alone. The stuff you're running into, like others have too. Others have overcome this. A lot of the people that we work with in our program have overcome this, especially after they've been searching for a long, long time. We just get it handled. If that's something you're looking for and you're willing to book a call and keep it, you're at least open to the idea of investing in yourself, right? And you're ready to get started, like, yeah, book a call with us and let's explore what's possible for you. Either way, folks, I'm really acknowledging you all for being here. I'm cheering for you 100%, and there are bright things on the horizon for you. Hope to meet you soon, my friends. Take care.